Joining me now is Lauren Edgar, a Washington local from Sammamish and one of the 10 people selected in NASA's newest class of astronauts. Lauren, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Glad to hear everything you have to share. Let's start with the goal of getting to the moon. It's an ambitious one that NASA has set, establishing a presence on the moon in the next few years. What are you contributing to that project as we move forward?
Sure. So I might back up to my time actually before being selected as an astronaut. I was contributing to the Artemis 3 science team. So I was the deputy principal investigator for the geology team and helping to define some of the surface exploration goals and stations and the types of observations that astronauts might someday make on the moon. But then I was selected as an astronaut, and so now I'm going through 2 years of training before being eligible to be assigned to a mission. But in that time and in my the course of my NASA career after this, I hope to be able to continue to contribute to lunar exploration and then setting our sights on Mars as well.
That's incredible. And let's go back to your background of geology. That's often thought of as an Earth-based science. How are we applying those Earth skills to outer space exploration?
Yeah, so the field of planetary geology means that we get to understand the geology of other planets like the moon and Mars. And a lot of what we do in geology is go to field sites here on Earth to better understand what we're seeing on other planets. And so my background, I was able to do a lot of field work to start to understand some of those processes, think through what would be the best samples that you might want to acquire to bring back and enable all of those studies here on Earth. So this is a really exciting time in the field of geology and planetary geology, especially with our sites on the moon and Mars.
That's incredible. And you right now are in a years-long training process. You said you're in Houston. What does that day-to-day look like? What are some of the physical and mental training that you're doing right now?
Yeah, so I'll spend the first 2 years of my time here in Houston in training as an astronaut candidate. And in that time, we're learning everything from how to fly airplanes, practice for spacewalks, get to learn about a lot of the ISS, the space station systems. I just came from a robotics class this morning where I'm learning how to operate the robotic arm on the space station. We get some language training, some geology training. So there's a lot of different things that we get to learn about, and it's really exciting to be getting to learn so many different ways to help explore the solar system.
That's incredible. Has there been anything that has surprised you so far with this training?
Great question on surprises. I think I am just most impressed with how complex vehicles like the International Space Station are, how many different systems need to be working, how to fix things when they're not working, and to think through how we've had a continuous human presence and all of these systems working together for the last 25 years is really an engineering marvel. So I think that's probably a surprise, is just seeing how complex and intricate all of this is.
That must be fascinating. And this is an elite class of astronauts. You're one of 10. Thousands apply, just a few were chosen. I believe I read that it took you a couple tries to get here. Can you tell me about that application process and why do you think you are the one sitting here on this team right now?
Great question. So yeah, I've applied a couple of times to be an astronaut. It's a USA Jobs application process. In the previous times that I tried, never heard anything. This is the first time that I was called out for the different rounds of interviews, which was amazing to be able to meet all of these other fantastic individuals that were going through that selection process with me. And as far as what led to this ultimate selection, you'll have to ask the selection panel what happened there. But just wanted to say I am so grateful and honored to be a part of this class and standing here alongside my peers.
Yeah, and you've shared that this is a lifelong dream of yours. Can you tell me a little bit about how you fell in love with space early on?
Yeah, so I think growing up in the Pacific Northwest, I had an appreciation for the outdoors and obviously the rich aviation history that we have in the Seattle area. But it wasn't until I went to a space shuttle launch when I was in second grade and I realized there were people on board and they were leaving this planet, and it made me wonder what else is out there. And so that's really what inspired me and kind of set me on this path to pursuing space exploration and the desire to maybe someday be an astronaut and along the way found this career path that I absolutely loved, getting to do geology and investigate the solar system.
That's incredible.
So I definitely credit the Northwest in instilling some of that inspiration.
Absolutely. And I want to ask you one more question. This class of astronauts is a majority women for the first time ever. I know there's still a lot of uncertainty, but there is the potential for you to be some of the people who go back to the moon for the first time in 50 years. That's historic in itself, but of course, because we have a lot of women who could be the first women on the moon, where's your headspace with that history that's potentially in the making?
I just think it's so exciting to be here, to be a part of this class. Each and every one of the individuals that's part of this class is a phenomenal human being that I would love to see on the moon someday, love to see in low Earth orbit, making great observations of the Earth and, contributing to, future exploration to Mars. So it is just a huge honor to be here and look forward to everything to come.
Yeah, we know Neil Armstrong's famous first words, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Have you thought about what your words would be if that was you?
I have not thought about that yet, but maybe that's a bit down the line. We'll think about it.
Oh, we have time. We have time. Well, we cannot wait to see how far you explore. Lauren Edgar, one of the newest astronauts with NASA. Thank you so much for your time today. We cannot wait to see what happens through the next couple of years.
Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it.